7 divorce myths around your house can financially ruin you, and most people find out when it's too late. What I'm about to say will make some people mad. Much of the real estate advice you'll get when divorcing is financially wrong. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through 7 myths that can cost you thousands of dollars. I'm Melina Rissone. In the past 20 years, I've helped countless clients with real estate during divorce. If you're going through a divorce and there's a home involved, you're probably hearing a lot of advice from friends and family. But the problem is, many of the pieces of advice are unhelpful at best. They're myths. And here in San Diego, where home values and monthly payments are no joke, believing the misconceptions can quietly cost you thousands through a bad decision, a delay, or a deal that seems fair at first until you look closer. In this video, I'll walk you through the most common myths I see in divorce real estate and how to protect your equity and your timeline without making the process harder than it already is. And stick around until the end, because I'll share the single biggest money leak I see, something almost no one thinks about until it's too late. Let's get started. First of all, the reason these myths are so costly is because divorce already creates pressure to move fast and, to be fair, to get the things over with. And that pressure is exactly what creates costly decisions. So as we go through these myths, I want you to think about 2 things. What's true in the current market, and what decision gives you the most control over your outcome? Let's start with the myth that causes the most panic. Myth number 1. That is, we have to sell the house immediately. Many people just assume this is the case, or they feel this way because they want to remove a source of stress. But here's the reality. You don't always have to sell immediately. Sometimes selling right away is the best move, but it should be a strategic choice, not a stress reaction. Timing affects how the home shows, what offers look like, and how cleanly the deal closes. So instead of asking, should we sell right this second? Ask, what needs to happen for a clean, easy sale? That usually means thinking through prep, showings, privacy, who's living there, and the right timeline. Now you might be thinking, okay, but we still need to know what the house is worth. Which brings us to myth number 2. Zillow or Redfin is close enough for divorce numbers, and I get why people do it. It's fast and it feels objective. But automated estimates can be way off, especially if your home has upgrades, maintenance issues, a unique location, layout quirks, an ADU, the list goes on. When your starting number is wrong, you could have less equity than you realize. And if you keep going based on that faulty assumption, everything that follows gets harder. A better approach is to get market-based valuation backed by current comparables and the home's real condition. Not some number from an algorithm with no explanation, but an evidence-based range you can actually use. If you're in San Diego, I offer a free home valuation report that breaks down the comparables, a realistic range, and the market trends that are driving that range. Next myth, number 3. If my name isn't on title, I have no rights. That's not always true. In many cases, if the home was purchased during the marriage or paid for with shared income, it may still be considered marital property, even if only one name is on the deed. An attorney should ultimately guide you on that. But on the real estate side, the first step is gathering the numbers: mortgage payoffs, any HELOCs, property taxes, insurance, the monthly payment, and a realistic value range. Because those numbers show what the house is actually worth and what's at stake, regardless of whose name is on the deed. When emotions run high, those shared facts can reduce the chaos. Now, once people get to that point, there's another myth that takes over. It sounds fair, it sounds simple, and it causes major problems. Myth number 4 is that a buyout is just half the equity. You might assume that if the house is worth $1 million and you owe $600, then the equity is just $400,000 and the buyout is just half of that. It sounds logical on the surface, but in real life, it's not always that easy or straightforward. First, the value has to be agreed upon. Again, on online estimates isn't enough when you're making a legal and financial decision this big. So an unbiased comparative market analysis is critical here. Second, the equity number isn't just price minus mortgage. You also have to account for any selling costs, potential repairs, taxes, and any other liens on this property. Those can change the real net value significantly. Third, the spouse keeping the home usually has to refinance the loan and into their own name. The buyout amount has to work with what the lender will actually approve. What will the new payment be? And will that payment still make sense a year or two from now? So the buyout often isn't just half the equity. It's a negotiated number based on value, debt, cost, and financing. Now, before we continue, if you want more videos about real estate topics just like this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Back to the video. Next, we have myth number 5. We can keep living together until it sells. No big deal. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes this can work, but often it doesn't, or it's a bigger deal than you first assumed. Buyers want easy access and flexible showing times. Divorce creates tension, privacy concerns, and conflict over scheduling and cleaning. The consequence is missed showings, showings that go poorly, and a listing that sits on the market for months. And when a listing sits, buyers feel leverage. That's where thousands of dollars can suddenly evaporate. If you're going to live in the home while it's listed, you need rules for showings, cleaning, and how to approve decisions quickly. Myth number 6. One agent can work with both sides. In California and most of the US, there are actually several valid ways a sale can be handled. One agent can represent both parties as a dual agent. 2 agents from the same brokerage can each represent a side, or each person can hire a completely separate agent. All of these are common. What matters is that everyone understands the setup and agrees to it in writing. In a dual agency situation, the agent can't favor one side or share confidential information. Their role is to manage the process, present information clearly, and keep things moving. The real issue usually isn't one agent versus 2. Problems happen when roles aren't clear, communication is scattered, and decisions aren't documented, especially once offers and deadlines start coming in. A clean structure and clear communication are what actually protects both sides. Myth number 7. Repairs and prep work don't matter in a divorce sale. When you're exhausted and just want the sale over with, selling as is sounds like a blessing, and sometimes it is the right call, but assuming it's not worth preparing the home can come back to bite you. In San Diego, buyer confidence drives offers. Uncertainty creates discounts and credits. Prep doesn't have to mean a major renovation. Often, it's a few simple items: clean, declutter, touch-up, lighting, basic curb appeal, and fixing obvious issues that scare buyers. And the reason this matters so much during divorce isn't just about a bit of extra money. Those repairs are often the difference between a quick sale and lingering on the market. It's the difference between walking away from a stressful situation and being dragged through extensions, renegotiations, and resentment. Now let's wrap things up. Remember earlier when I said I'd share the biggest money leak I see in divorce real estate? Well, here it is. The biggest money leak is making major decisions without one shared reality. 2 different value estimates, 2 different ideas of what fair means, 2 different understandings of what the market is doing, 2 different assumptions about cost. When you don't align on the facts, you end up negotiating in the midst of heated emotions, and those emotions can get very expensive. So if you're watching this and you want the cleanest next step, it's this. Agree on all these facts first, then choose strategy. That clarity usually includes a market-based valuation, a basic net sheet that includes realistic selling costs, and a clear plan for what happens if you sell versus what happens if one person keeps the home. If this video was helpful, please take a second to subscribe. I post videos focused on San Diego real estate that are practical and decision-driven, especially for people navigating transitions like divorce, relocation, and major financial changes. And if you want help gathering all these facts specific to your situation, please reach out. I can provide a free home value report that gives you realistic range based on current comparables and your home's condition and location. Before we go, let me know in the comments what's the hardest part of the home decision during divorce for you right now. Figuring out value, deciding whether to sell, or figuring out what a buyout should look like. Thanks again for spending this time with me. I'm Melina Rissone, and I'll see you in the next video.